Great to see you, everyone. Welcome to another episode of This Week in CA Football. It was a great start to the month of October, Rob, and we have a big top 5 matchup looming in Harrisonburg this Saturday. But first, let's recap Week 6 around CA football.
Yeah, what a Saturday it was with 4 of the 5 games going down to the wire. Villanova and JMU stayed unbeaten in CA play, but it wasn't easy for either of them as they survived tough tests on the road. The Wildcats scored on a 4th-and-1 pass from Daniel Smith to D. Will Barley with just 1:59 to go, and then stopped a late William & Mary drive to edge the Tribe 35-28, improving to 6-0 for the first time since 2003. The Dukes saw Stony Brook overcome a 10-point fourth-quarter deficit to force overtime, but JMU responded with a 3-yard TD run by Juwan Hamilton and a defensive stop to pull out a 45-38 win for its 5th straight victory. New Hampshire's also 2-0 in CAA play as they extended their winning streak to 3 by beating Elon 26-10. National Freshman of the Week Ole Manzik and Evan Horn recorded 50-yard pick sixes in the first half for the Wildcats. Defense was also the story for Richmond, which recorded 7 sacks and forced 2 turnovers to defeat Albany 23-20 for its first CAA win. Finally, Rhode Island took home the Governor's Cup for the second year in a row by rallying past Brown 31-28. Vito Priori connected with Aaron Parker for the game-winning TD pass with just 5:43 to go. That victory improved the CA's non-conference record to 23-5 against FCS foes as the league once again has 6 teams ranked in the top 25.
Well, we have to begin with the premier matchup in Harrisonburg this Saturday. It's a top 5 showdown between number 2 JMU playing host to number 5 Villanova at 1:30 on Masson and FlowFootball.com. A critical contest for both teams, Rob, in the race for the CA title.
Yeah, this game not only has CA title implications, but it's the premier matchup in all of FCS this week. These are the top 2 scoring offenses in the league, with JMU averaging better than 41 points per game and Villanova averaging just under 40 points per contest. But they do it in slightly different ways. The Dukes rely on that power running attack that has piled up over 300 yards in each of their 2 conference wins. Last week against Stony Brook, Juwan Hamilton ran for a career-high 105 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Percy Ajay Obasi added 96 yards and 2 scores. When they throw, Ben DiNucci is the league's most efficient quarterback, completing 72% of his passes, and the East found a reliable target in Brandon Polk, who has a career-best 104 yards in a TD versus the Seawolves. Now, Villanova can also move the ball on the ground and through the air, but it all starts with quarterback Daniel Smith, who has accounted for at least 3 touchdowns in all 6 games this season and has 23 for the year. The Wildcats feature the second leading rusher in FCS in Justin Covington with more than 700 yards, but he was injured last week at William & Mary, and his status is unknown for Saturday. That could lead to more carries for freshman D. Will Barley and Jalen Jackson. Villanova also has a talented rookie receiver in Jaron Hayek, who has 18 receptions for 261 yards and 4 touchdowns over the past 3 games. Now, while this contest has all the makings of a shootout, both defenses are ranked among the top 3 in the league in fewest points and yards allowed. They both give up less than 100 yards per game on the ground and are among the CA's best in sacking the quarterback. It will be a raucous atmosphere at Bridgeport Stadium on Saturday, and a game you don't want to miss.
No, not at all. At noon on FlowFootball.com, Richmond, looking to build off their first league win of the year, will travel to Orono to take on Maine, who is coming off their bye week and looking for their first conference win.
Yeah, Richmond got a much-needed 23-20 victory over Albany last week to snap a 3-game losing streak, and they'll try to take that momentum to nationally ranked Maine. Maurice Jackson and Kobe Turner spearheaded a dominant performance from the Spiders' defensive line against Albany, as Richmond recorded 7 sacks and 11 tackles for loss, and Richmond also forced multiple turnovers for the first time all season. It will be key for them to turn in a similar effort on Saturday to try to slow down Maine's high-powered aerial attack. The Spiders' offense struggled with just 183 yards against the Great Danes, but didn't turn it over and was able to hit a big 61-yard TD pass from Bo English to Keyston Fuller in the first quarter. English took nearly every snap versus Albany and accounted for 153 yards of total offense in the game. Now, Maine was off last week and should be extremely motivated to pick up its first CA victory after an 0-2 start. Chris Ferguson's one of the top passers in FCS, averaging 324 yards per game, and the Black Bears receiving corps led by Jaquan Blair, Devin Young, and Ernest Edwards is as explosive as any group in the league. However, Maine needs more production from its running game while cutting back on its league-high 10 turnovers. Now, the Black Hole defense ranks number 1 in the CA against the pass, but hasn't generated the type of pass rush that they would like or shown the ability to create turnovers. With a week off to heal up and make adjustments, it will be interesting to see whether Maine can get back on the winning track in front of its home crowd.
Another team coming off their bye week is Delaware as the Blue Hens travel to Elon at 2 o'clock on flowfootball.com.
Yeah, it's been a solid start to the season for the Blue Hens. Are 3-2 overall and have only lost to top-ranked North Dakota State and ACC member Pitt. Now, offensively, quarterback Nolan Henderson is throwing 7 TD passes with no interceptions over the past 3 games, and he's also been able to make plays with his legs. Delaware is getting good production from running backs Will Knight and Andre Robinson, and its young group of receivers is improving each week. Likewise, the Blue Hens' young defense continues to make strides and is coming off its best performance of the year and holding Pitt to just 17 points. First-year starting linebackers Kedrick Whitehead and Drew Nichols have combined for 79 tackles. Elon has dropped 3 straight games after a 2-1 start and needs to take advantage of this stretch with 3 of its next 4 at home. After throwing for 9 touchdowns with 1 interception over the first 5 weeks, quarterback Davis Cheek had an uncharacteristically tough game at New Hampshire last Saturday and will be looking to bounce back. The Phoenix also needs to get its running game on track, and there were signs of improvement last week as Jalen Thomas picked up 52 yards and a touchdown. Now, Elon's defense played very well last week, limiting New Hampshire to just 284 yards. Leading the charge was senior defensive back Greg Leagues Jr., who set an Elon Division I record with 3 interceptions.
At 4 o'clock on flowfootball.com, Albany will be on the road this Saturday as they take on Towson, who is coming off their bye week.
Yeah, Albany was sort of its own worst enemy in last week's narrow loss at Richmond, committing 16 penalties for 118 yards and also turning it over twice. The Great Danes' defense turned in its best performance of the year, holding the Spiders to 183 total yards and 12 first down. Albany's pass rushing duo of Mason Walker and Eli Menser combined for 6.5 tackles for loss in the game, and they will try to provide similar pressure against Towson's high-powered attack. Now, offensively, quarterback Jeff Undercuffler continued his outstanding season with 3 more TD passes to increase his league-best total to 18 for the year. Top receivers Juwan Green and Jarrett Reeves both topped the 100-yard mark and caught a TD pass last week, and Green leads the CAA with 8 touchdown receptions. Now, Towson will be anxious to get back on the field after getting the week off following its game at SEC Power Florida. The Tigers' offense has topped the 40-point mark in its last 3 games against FCS foes. Quarterback Tom Flacco is having another great year, throwing for over 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns, while also leading the Tigers in rushing with 242 yards and 2 scores. His favorite target, Shane Leatherberry, has made at least 4 catches in 4 of Towson's 5 contests, and he had 7 receptions for 114 yards and a touchdown against the Great Danes a year ago. Now, defensively, the Tigers have forced 12 turnovers and topped the conference with 9 interceptions. Kobe Tippett and Keon Pay have 3 apiece, while Robert Hayward has picked off a pair. It will be interesting to see how they defend those Albany wideouts.
New Hampshire will look to stay unbeaten in league play, and they'll travel to Stony Brook for a 6 o'clock kick on SNY and flowfootball.com.
Yeah, New Hampshire's reeled off 3 straight home victories after an 0-2 start, and now gets to see if that success will continue on the road. Now, as we mentioned in the open, the Wildcats' defense was outstanding in last week's win over Elon, forcing 5 turnovers, recording 6 sacks, and accounting for 14 points on pick sixes by Ole Mansig and Evan Horn. UNH is number 1 in the CA in scoring defense, giving up less than 17 points per game, and has held its last 2 opponents to an average of 250 total yards. Offensively, the Wildcats have relied heavily on their rushing attack, with Evan Gray and Carlos Washington Jr. combining for 754 yards this season. That's helped take some of the pressure off true freshman quarterback Max Brosmer, who has thrown a TD pass in 3 of his 4 starts. Now, Stony Brook will look to bounce back from that tough 45-38 overtime loss to James Madison last week. There were a lot of positives for the Seawolves offense as quarterback Tykel Fields passed for a career-high 318 yards and 2 touchdowns. Freshman Tyson Lawton ran for a career-best 108 yards and 3 scores, and receiver Nick Anderson made 7 catches for 154 yards and a touchdown. Stony Brook's defense gave up some yards to the Dukes, but they also forced 4 turnovers, including a couple of big fumbles in the red zone. Reggie DeManti recorded a career-high 12 tackles versus JMU, and Augie Contressa added 11, as both continued impressive seasons that seen them combined for 79 stops. Now, both of these teams are very much in the mix still for a CA title and a playoff berth, and the result of this game could be big down the road.
The lone non-conference matchup this Saturday will be Rhode Island once again as the Rams travel to Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech on the ACC Network at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, after so many tough last-second losses this season for Rhode Island, it was great to see them rally for a game-winning fourth-quarter drive and then hold on to get their first win of the season and claim bragging rights in the state for another year. Now, Virginia Tech will be the second FBS game of the year for the Rams, and it's obviously a massive challenge, but there are reasons for hope. Quarterback Vito Priori has thrown for more than 300 yards and 3 touchdowns 3 times this season, and he goes against the Hokies defense that is allowing nearly 225 yards per game through the air. All-America receiver Aaron Parker has caught 2 TD passes in each of the past 2 games, and Isaiah Coulter is coming off a career-best 12-catch, 171-yard effort a week ago. If Priori can get time to throw, they could give Tech some problems. Defensively, Tech made a quarterback change last week to Hendon Hooker, who provides a running threat along with his arm. If the Rams can contain him and force some turnovers, they'll have a chance to keep that one close.
As always, folks, casports.com/live scores is your source for live scoring and in-game live stats throughout week 7 of the college football season.
And of course, you can continue to follow the league on our many social media platforms such as facebook.com/CA Football and Twitter @CA Football using the hashtag CAFB.
Our on-campus series was back on the road this past weekend at Stony, Brook. You can recap the visit by following CA Football's social media outlets. And make sure to visit cafootball.com on Thursday for our Going Deep feature on the Seawolves.
Yeah, our crew had the chance to sit down with Stony Brook's Gavin Heslop, TJ Morrison, and Tykel Fields, who played together and helped win a state championship in high school and have now developed into standout performers for the Seawolves.
That is it from us today. Enjoy the games, everyone.